What's up, guys? We're back at it again with another episode of Thoughts with Tinley, brought to you by Roundtable Radio. I'm your host, Tinley Kane, and yeah, this is episode 7. 7 weeks consisted of podcast. Wow. I mean, honestly, I'm kind of impressed, really. It's really funny, though, actually, because I've also started another podcast for an internship I do with Vibe, which is a magazine that produces content for varsity sports throughout the greater Houston area. So me and my two friends, Robert and Will, we thought of creating a little podcast. We don't know the name just yet. We had a name, but it got rejected, sadly. But yeah, we created a podcast. We had our first episode last Saturday. We're going to do one this Saturday as well. And yeah, I mean, honestly, this podcast with Thoughts with Tinley has brought so much inspiration to start a different one, which I think is so awesome. But yeah, let's talk about this week a little bit. I knew from Monday that this week was going to be a little tough for me, to be honest with you. And that's totally fine because, you know, with a long break that we have now, I don't have to go to school till next Thursday, which is crazy to even think about. But of course, we're going to pile up all that work right before school starts back up. And also the first quarter of the school year ended today, Friday, October 9th. So yeah, I mean, this week I don't even know. I think like 3 projects due Friday, this podcast, of course, and so many other things that were due today. I knew it was going to be a hectic week, but I told myself that I would prioritize everything, get everything quickly done, so I could also get like a good amount of sleep because I tend to procrastinate to the absolute last day to do everything. And that's never a good thing to do ever. I don't recommend. But this time around, I actually did everything on time. I got reasonable hours of sleep, and I'm honestly so proud of myself for that. So a hectic week with reasonable like hours of work and sleep. So did I kind of die this week? A little bit, but I made it through the week, and now it's Friday, and now I get to enjoy a long weekend of chilling, relaxing, getting actual sleep, because I don't think me getting up at 6 in the morning is good for my health always, but you gotta do what you gotta do. So yeah, that's just what happened this week, but I feel like I don't really have anything entirely planned, so I'm kind of just going to go off and express to you guys what my favorite music is, specifically who my favorite artist is. So, it is a girl. She's pretty well known, I would like to say. Some people it's either you hate her or you love her at this point in time. A lot of people were like, oh my god, I wish she was like country all over again. Like that was the only good side of her. Or some people are like, I really enjoy her being a part of the pop scene. But also, she thought of putting herself out there, not only in 2 genres of music, but 3. She also recently released in 2020 an album that was for alternative music. So she's been successful in 3 genres, which not many artists can do successfully. Not to mention, she even writes her own music for majority of her songs that she's ever produced. I mean, that's a big ordeal with Scooter Braun and whatnot, like receiving like the royalties of her songs. But that could be a whole another podcast about that. But yeah, if you can't get the hints now of who I'm referring to, is Taylor Swift. I have always loved Taylor Swift since she came out with her first ever little country album that was simply just titled Taylor Swift. And it's funny because my mom actually got to hear like a sneak peek of this song right before it came out to the public, and she told one of her friends, she was like, this girl's definitely going to be something whenever she's older. Like, she has that wow factor about her. It's a cute little catchy song that she heard. And the person she was telling this to was funny because they didn't believe her. They thought that the song was just going to be like a one-hit wonder, if that, maybe. But yeah, Taylor Swift has kind of been, I think, easily one of the most successful artists of the 2000s era. At least one person that I know will be famous whenever I'm older, who could be compared to like Michael Jackson or Prince, Cher, I don't know, anybody of the past, Billy Joel, Elton John. She's definitely up there with one of those people and is going down in like the Hall of Fame for music of some sort. Don't know any of those specifics, but I think she's pretty iconic and easily a household name. So yeah, I mean, what? All of these albums she's had at least like, I think 6, if I'm correct. I'm not entirely too sure. But having titles of in pop, in country, in alternative, I personally like to think that her best music is in the pop scene. Don't get me wrong. Don't hate me if you like country Taylor Swift or you like alternative Taylor Swift now all of a sudden. But I think personally that pop is her best music. Everybody likes it. It's so catchy, and if you talk about a popular Taylor Swift song, everybody knows it. That is how good her music is. I mean, many people would like to believe it's super cliche, but cliche works with the music industry, and that's how you get people to listen to your stuff. I mean, so a lot of people make fun of her for the fact that, like, all the songs she writes about are boys, but I feel like it's more than just boys. It's just kind of like the way she writes is like a personal diary in a sense. And she's kind of just exposing herself out to the public and writing about what people would typically write about. I mean, heartbreak or being in love or going into a different school for the first time. Like, these are all her experiences at the end of the day. And people are just reading it like a story. So you can't really, like, judge someone's story. But here people and critics are critiquing what she has to say about herself and what her life has been. So, breaking down some of her albums. Fearless. This was a country album. It was produced in 2008. Honestly, I'm a pretty big fan of it. It's not too bad. I mean, if I'm looking at my phone, I only have, like 6 songs downloaded from it. It's pretty catchy, but at the same time, I would like to argue that in 2008, I was 5, so I couldn't really enjoy like a full-on album as I would now. So any of her albums in the past, I haven't really given much attention to, or I haven't valued as much, only because I couldn't like sit there and like drive around somewhere and listen to a whole album. So my opinion can't really be entirely like valuable, I guess. Not like valuable, but you get what I'm saying. Like, it just doesn't work there. So I would like to think that my top 2 favorite albums would easily have to be 1989 and Reputation. Only because, okay, a lot of people like to think Red is their favorite album. Unpopular opinion, I don't think it's that good. I don't know why. That's just me. But I like to think that 1989 was a successful album only because there are so many hits on there that I just absolutely adore. I mean, everybody knows Shake It Off. Like, if you don't, I don't know who you are, but that's just me. One of my favorite songs of hers is actually on this album, which is Style. Bad Blood. Oh my gosh. The whole feud with Katy Perry was insane with this one. Wildest Dreams, Out of the Woods, Welcome to New York. I mean, talk about a great overall album. And now for Reputation. Personally, I think I think Reputation needed to happen for Taylor Swift. It was essentially like the reinvention of what she was perceived by. And honestly, she used all of those insults or opinions about her and kind of just created an album against that, or mocking it in a sense. She embraced the fact that she kind of wore like that scarlet letter like Hester Prynne did in the Scarlet Letter, and was like, yeah, I mean, hey, I do write about these things. I am this type of person, but I embrace it and I love who I am for that. And she kind of took like a whole evil side towards this album, which I definitely was here for. I attended the concert. It was best, like hands down, the best concert I've ever been to. And I wish I could relive that night over and over again because it was spectacular of a performance that she did for this album. But yeah, I definitely can get way into this, like, more if I really wanted to. But we are cut on time a little bit, so I think we definitely have to do, like, a part 2 or even, like, a multiple series of this so I can definitely dive deeper into this whole Taylor Swift appreciation. So yeah, thank you guys for listening in to podcast number 7 of Thoughts with Tinley, also brought to you again by Roundtable Radio. I'm your host, Tinley Kane. See you guys on the flip.